Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We should begin in 5 minutes. Just have. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing great this evening. I'm Malika. I'll be your host. Welcome to the next step at Mumbai, a thought-provoking initiative that stands at the forefront of transformative movement. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of innovation and envision the future of work, redefining frontline workforce with technology. We are set to explore the power of innovation, digital transformation, and human-centric technology solutions that will shape the future of the workforce landscape. Introducing BetterPlace, that's Asia's largest human capital SaaS platform that enables enterprise to manage the entire life cycle of the frontline workers. Being a full-suite HRMS solution, BetterPlace caters to the entire value chain of the frontline workforce management, from discovery, hiring, onboarding, background verification, and payroll, to upskilling and services like vendor management, workforce fulfillment, insurance, and credit. The robust BetterPlace platform has been the unstoppable driving force behind the transformation of over 30 million frontline heroes, redefining the future of workforce management with unwavering impact. Their unified tech solution has influenced over 1,500 businesses while serving 500 locations across APAC and GCC regions. Today, it's my privilege to introduce a visionary leader and a true pioneer in this field. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Praveen Agarwal, the co-founder and CEO of BetterPlace. I'll continue. Praveen's relentless dedication and innovation spirit has been instrumental in shaping BetterPlace into a force of transformative change. Today, he is here to share his insights and vision for the future of workforce management, a future that embraces technology and inclusivity and progress. Let us give a round of applause for Praveen.
Thank you, thank you. I hope you are recording. I'll share this with my wife because she always complains that I have done nothing in life. So thank you so much for that. Some of our guests are still joining. I hope we didn't add to the traffic on this route already. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining on a Friday evening. We were discussing whether we should do it on a Thursday, on a Wednesday, on a Friday. And my team said that all good things we do on a Friday with family. So that's the reason we are all here together with our extended families. So thank you so much for being here with us today. I'll take quickly and talk about how we see technology playing a role in the frontline workforce, right? We all, all of us here sitting in this room, we all engage at scale with frontline workforce in some way or the other, right? They are part of our life. We are moving because the frontline is moving, right? The manufacturing, the delivery, the services, the hotel, the hospitality, the retail, and everything, right? So this is a deeply engaged part of our life. And I strongly believe, and I was sharing in a couple of other discussions as well earlier this morning, the economy, the 5 trillion economy that we talk about, 700 billion to a trillion will come from the uplifting of the front line. So this is our opportunity, this is our responsibility to bring the technology that it deserves, right? And this is what I'll briefly talk about. There are bigger and better speakers. We will all get the opportunity to listen to them, but I'll share my 2 cents with respect to what we are saying, right? Some numbers, and I'm sure that you are all familiar with this. These are nothing new, right? I'm not trying to be a rocket scientist here, but I just wanted to start giving you a perspective on that you might be already aware of, but that will ignite the thought in your minds why this is so very important, right? Roughly, if you look at attrition, right? One of the companies that I spoke to in recent past, they're saying that how can we hire more people, right? How can I hire more people every time, every day? And this is a problem that perhaps we're all asking ourselves day in, day out, right? What is the problem with that? The problem is that attrition is so high that hiring becomes a perennial situation, right? And unfortunately, this is a circular migration. People come from villages, work in cities, they go back. Whatever we do, there will be attrition, right? We can bring it down, but there will be an attrition. How do we bring it down? By creating the right benefits, by utilizing the data, the right ecosystem. I think we can create immense benefit, bring it perhaps from 15% or 20% to might be 10%, 11%. That itself will add huge value to our productivity, right? Now, how do we bring that benefits to the employees? I think that's all data driven. Today, if you look at US, for example, 80 odd percentage people have access to credit, right? 80 odd percentage. In India, this number is around 7%, right? Now 7% people have access to credit, while in a developed economy like US, 80% people or more have access to credit. The reason? We do not have quality data. So the poor people end up accessing credit at a much higher interest rate, but if we create this platform together, there is a change that we can bring, thereby increasing retention, decreasing attrition as well, right? I was talking to another company, and I'll not name those companies, but I'll still give references to those. This is one of the largest retail chain in India. They pioneered a lot of things. Unfortunately, they have a huge demand, or fortunately, they have a huge demand. The reason I said unfortunately is that they're not able to meet the demand because there is not enough people to deliver on the demand, right? So they have to shut down sometimes. So they have to shut down their operations on their mobile app, saying I will not take any more order because I do not have resources to do it, right? So demand sometimes is not the problem. It's the supply is the right resource is the problem, right? And we all are familiar with that. We all face this problem, right? If you go to Bangalore and if you are in delivery company, there is a pin code like Bellandur, right? Bellandur has the highest demand of resources, but the shortage is might be 30-40%, right? If anyone says I will do delivery, you will just hire them because the demand is so high. The people is the problem. How do we increase the supply, but at the same time, how do we increase productivity, right? If we can increase the productivity, then we can also bring the supply problem down, right? And that's the other thing which is very important that we should look at. And today, if I look at the entire organizations, right, I give you another example, and I was mentioning this a while back. In Bangladesh, garment factories are growing, right? That's the largest, perhaps in our part of the world. They produce average 20 t-shirts per person per day, right? 20 t-shirts per person per day. In India, we do 10 t-shirts per person per day, right? It's a 50% less productivity, efficiency, and so on, right? How do we increase that? What do we do? How do we plan our resources? How do we ensure that productivity is going up? How do we ensure that we deploy them in the right way? How do we ensure that we have a system that decides or helps us in making the right decision? Are we living with something which is not good enough, right? That's a question that keeps coming back in our mind, right? The other thing that we looked into, and this is something, it was more before COVID, less now, but that's still there. When you ask organization, how do you manage your white collar employees, your employees? Of course, we have a solution, be it the traditional Workday, SAP, Oracle, or there are other solutions, right? How do you manage your frontline, blue collar, third party? Yeah, we have Excel, right? We have multiple Excels. We have multiple Excels. And sometimes I go to a storeroom where I see the documents lying there as well, right? I think the time has come to change, and everyone spoke about this. We had a couple of sessions this morning as well. How do we digitize entire economy, right? Digitization is not, I'm not a health freak, but I always like to claim I'm a health freak. I do not buy Apple to eat something. I buy Apple because I want to be healthier, right? So digitization is something which adds to our value in terms of productivity, outcome, and so on. So when we look at the journey, we should only think from the journey of productivity, efficiency, and so on, where we can save money and redeploy into business, which will help us to grow further, right? So how do we ensure efficiency comes into play, right? And the last thing that I want to really highlight on this particular slide here is skilling, which is very close to my heart. We talk about China plus one, the China thing, where manufacturing is going down, Indian economy will grow, but it will only grow when there is an ecosystem. It will not grow if there is no ecosystem around it, right? And what is the ecosystem? Besides the infrastructure, besides the supplier, buyer, the seekers, and so on, but it's the most important thing is the skilled workforce, right? Unfortunately, in India today, only 3% or less are formally skilled in the workforce that we work with, right? Most of the people are learning things by working on the job, and that might not result into the best productivity, right? For example, if I have a retail shop, right, and I introduce a new product, or I have a insurance product, and I introduce a new insurance, my guy on the field, does the person know how to sell it the best way? We might make assumption that the person is doing good. Might be there is one guy who is doing it at, let's say I'm selling insurance worth 5 lakh rupees, the other guy is doing only 1 lakh. Why is the gap, right? How do we analyze it? Things like that. And that's all driven by only one thing, which is skilling. Now when you do skilling, the productivity goes up, but remember another thing happens, and that is called EPH, earning per hour of the person goes up as well, because I am more productive, I start earning more money. When I have more money, I stay longer with you. When I stay longer with you, the productivity goes further up, and this becomes a beautiful chain that we all want to have, right? In Hindi it's called, इस beautiful chain के साथ हम chain से सो पाएंगे, right? So this is why it's very important that skilling becomes a fundamental driver for our growth, right? Now we looked into what are the 4 E's when we look at its numbers, right? These numbers are only thought-provoking. We all know those numbers, but bringing that together helps us sometimes. But there are 4 elements which are always important from the audience that we talk about, right? Efficiency, we spoke about it. Efficiency is not only about that my cost is going down, but it is also about efficiency from the point of view of speed and scale. Today, for example, I want to start a new branch of my retail shop in a city or a town in Assam where I belong to. It might take me 1 month, but can I do it in 1 week, right? What is my speed and scale? And that could be driven by technology, because manually everything cannot happen, right? And some of the systems that might be there are already old, not utilizing the power of AI, machine learning, and other capabilities which are there. Then also we start lagging behind, right? How do we go beyond it, right? The other thing which becomes very important is, of course, expense is always close to our heart, because money saved is money invested is money multiplied. So how do we ensure that we bring technology which is increasing productivity, efficiency, but also bringing the expenses down, right? At the same time, empowerment, right? As a person, when I'm part of the ecosystem, right? When I joined SAP, I was very happy, right? Because I was empowered to learn, I was empowered to grow, I was getting my insurance from the company, I was getting access to credit because I was working with SAP and so on. Are we empowering that ecosystem with the frontline workforce? Do they feel that? Perhaps not today. How can we do that? Of course, we have a solution together, right? But there is a necessity to empower them. And finally, and this was something brought up this afternoon as well, is how do we engage with them, right? I mean, sometimes we just take it for granted, right? Just saying, okay, it's a happy Diwali, it's your birthday. We do it by default for everyone else, right? I mean, we all getting our messages and our share of happiness every birthday, marriage anniversary, and things like that, Ban, Diwali, blah, blah. But most of the other people do not get it because there is no system in place, right? It's not that we don't want to do it. I'm sure that each one of us is willing to do it, wants to do it, but there is no system to do it. Can we bring that system which will make your employee happy? Sometimes, believe me, the security guard, the delivery boy, the driver, the manufacturing guy is the ambassador for us. They are actually the profit center. We are all, unfortunately, the cost center, right? How do we empower and engage with the profit center, which will bring value to our company's outcome at the end, right? And why all these things are not happening today? Again, this is not magic or surprise. This is basically that there's no single solution, and you brought up Navneet a while back as well. No single solution that addresses this problem. So what happens? We have multiple different systems, and these systems are not talking to each other, and they're not talking to each other, and hence I do not get the right information that is required to make the decision. Or it becomes so expensive that I leave it alone and say, okay, I'll put it in back burner and see when it is required, right? When you bring that together, a system is at the end of the day is to take your burden away, right? As an HR, it is your burden that I want to take away as a system and not add additional burden on your shoulder. Now manage the system also. You are already managing a problem, manage the system also. Then it becomes a nightmare, right? The system has to come and say, I'll take out the problem. Integrated, beautiful, analytics, decision driver, that's a system that you need from anyone, right? That is what we focus on. I also wanted to talk about why this is the right time, right? I mean, every time we think about right time, wrong time. When I was young, they said, invest in mutual fund, what is the right time, right? And I was like, if I would have invested that time, I would have been much richer by now, even in Reliance stock, for example, or Infosys for that matter. But I missed because someone advised me this is not the right time, right? But for technology adoption, this is the right time. And why it is the right time, and why you see numbers and some of the data which is very different. For example, if you look at one of the things that we looked into is OTT users in India, right? This has grown significantly, right? Significantly. 150 million is the white collar population in India, right? 150 million. That means the growth is happening in the next level, right? The next $500 million as we call it, which basically means people are shifting from traditional ways to technology driven ways. Mobile is becoming their home, Mobile is becoming the entry point, right? Similarly, you see UPI, right? UPI transactions are growing rapidly, right? I strongly believe, and Gaurav can comment on that because Gaurav is from Xstep and they are the drivers of all the India stack and so on. The reason it is increasing so much is that every transaction we are doing, even 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 30 rupees, we are paying through UPI. The people on the front line, they're all getting used to now mobile device. They're getting used to the technology that is empowering them. So they are not lagging behind anymore, right? And fortunately for us in India, it's a very, very high usage compared to many other countries. So we have a super advantage versus many others today. And the data usage has gone up multi-fold. Internet users have gone up. These are all coming from the front line basically, or the next half billion. What does this mean? This basically means the time has come when everything else also happens on the device of that individual. Be it my salary, my attendance, my learning, my credit, my access, everything happens on that device, right? The time has come when I'm sitting here in Mumbai, I have to hire someone in Kanpur and in Nagpur and in Guwahati. I do not have to go there. I can just do it sitting here happily. Some chatbot, some robot is doing it for me using technology, and I sleep peacefully when everything else is happening around me, right? And that is where the technology trend is. The reason I wanted to bring these numbers and not typically that HR is changing and this is changing and all. The reason is that in our mindset, sometimes we have that feel that how would they use it? Can they use it? Are they capable of using it? Believe me, everyone is more capable than we think, and they are already using it. If we don't do it, someone else is doing it anyways, right? Now, that's the technology trend that we see, and what is our commitment with all the changes happening for you? We want to be your partner with your digital transformation. We are not, and I want to make it very clear, we are not a company that comes and sells a product to you. We are not a company that comes and sells a feature functionality to you. We want to partner with you. We want to partner with you and be in your journey of your digital transformation. The apple that I mentioned is not for the food, it is for the health. We are in your digital transformation to change the entire landscape for you. How can we create value? If you succeed, we succeed. If you fail, we fail. It is as simple as that for us, right? So this is one of the important belief, fundamental view that we have, without which we do not even get engaged with a customer, right? The reason I wanted to bring this as a top point is I don't want to mention about feature, functionality and so on and so forth, but it's the entire journey that we will do for next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Ashish bhai tells me that, Praveen, when you partner with me, you are partnering with a company where the journey runs for next 20, 30 years, might be longer. Hopefully I will retire by then and not keep delivering on these requirements. But important is the partnership, right? This is what we strongly believe in. Productivity enhancements, I think that's a bread and butter. I mean, why would you buy? That's what I mentioned. The other thing which is very important for us is the individual point of view, right? While we are working on the organization and you pay us, and that's the entry point that we look at, that's the partnership that we start with. But the purpose with which we run BetterPlace is to how we can create value for millions of people as well, right? While we create value for organization, each one of you, they are the most important stakeholders of this entire ecosystem, right? How do we ensure the skilling goes up, their income goes up? How do we ensure they have access to credit, they have access to health and other things? How do we ensure that they learn more, thereby earn more, right? So if you look at minimum wage in India, on an average it will be around 15,000 bucks depending on job role, cities and so on, right? Guy comes fresh from the village, like 18 years old, earns 15,000 rupees and might be after 40 years of working in between, going here and there and still working, earns 15,000 rupees, right? How do we change that other than the minimum wage? I think there are some beautiful ideas coming up which will be linked to inflation and other things so that there's an increment. But that is not good enough. How do we upskill the person so that you get value, the individual gets value? EPH, which is earning per hour, is very important, and we believe, and our data also tells us, that there is a strong variabilization of cost, which is like, we call it the great variabilization, where you will have resources just in time. You will not look for resources for the full day, right? You need for 2 hours, you get for 2 hours, you pay for 2 hours. Banu mentioned that if you have 1 hour, then you get the person only for 1 hour paid and then done and dusted, right? That is the strong trend we are seeing, right? And this is how we are looking at empowering, while organizations gets benefited, empowering the individual towards their amazing future, right? We strongly believe that together we can make the change. Together we can create a better place. Thank you so much for joining today. On a Friday evening, it's always a challenge, but I'm so happy to be here with all of you and looking forward to listening to some of you and meeting all of you in person and learn more. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Praveen, for sharing your vision with us. Your achievements with BetterPlace are nothing short of groundbreaking. And now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker of this special occasion. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Ashish Jadav, the Senior Vice President of Technology at Jio. Mr. Jadav is a true expert in the tech industry with 25 years of experience in companies that have thrived on technology, architecture, and solution innovations. Prior to Jio, he has been a part of companies like General Mills, Arvind, and iGate. Let us welcome Ashish with a thunderous applause.
Yeah. So thank you. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for your presence here and taking time out of your busy schedule. Also, thank you to BetterPlace for having me here, for hosting me, and to share my experience on managing the contract workforce life cycle using technology platform. So today this is my subject, right? So I work with Reliance Industries Limited with their digital business group, Jio Platforms Limited. And I am responsible for providing technology leadership for digital platform across the group company. Again, so I think, can you change the slide? Sorry. So here, sorry. So I prepared a few slides for your knowledge. So how we are managing the contract workforce life cycle, and also we automated certain processes, okay, which I want to show you using the BetterPlace platform. Okay. So we are conglomerate, right? So for company like us or any other company, having the entire visibility on the vendor performance, right? And also the management of contract workforce life cycle is very important, because this will directly impact your business operations and also your operation efficiency, right? And also the compliance related to the contract workforce is part of your statutory requirement, right? So what we have done, okay, part of the contract workforce management along with BetterPlace. So these are the few processes which we have automated, right? The entire manpower planning and budgeting, okay. So all for any manufacturing or for our retail, for our telecom, okay. So the entire process, the entire manpower to budgeting, then the important piece is vendor management, empanelment of the vendor, the entire vendor onboarding, then again the work order mapping with the vendor community, and also managing the performance of the vendor, right? And also the payables, okay. The automated calculations of the payable, which is again very important, otherwise the payment would get delayed. And the access and entry permit management, like like I told you, we are conglomerate, right? If you visit any of our manufacturing facility, okay, you have a platter of access control systems, okay. So again, the workman, okay, we need to restrict them where they can enter, and we need to control their access, okay. And also at some places there is a biometric, at some places there are card related access, okay. At some places, okay, the biometric also differ, maybe you scan their iris scan, or somewhere it's a pure biometric or the picture scanning, etc. So the requirement is very complex, okay. So you need to control the entire access management for the contract workforce, okay, because they are entering your premises, and so nowadays the security aspects are very important, okay. So where you want to track and monitor their movements. Then the compliance management requirement, again there are two areas of compliance, right? When you are onboarding the vendor, there is something like pre-compliances, okay. Then there is something like post compliances before making the payments to the vendors. So and entire pre-compliance check, the shift roster or shift scheduling, okay, the hibernation, dehibernation, okay, the offboarding of manpower, and reporting and insights, okay. These are the process which we have automated within our group company. Then this is a very important aspect, right? So every time nowadays, okay, part of digital transformation initiative where you want to enrich the customer experience, and also you want to automate your business back office operations, right? So this is something like cloud native platform architecture. Since I am a part of CTO community, right? So part of my assessment when we engage with BetterPlace was the important aspect was a cloud native platform architecture, okay. So within the cloud native architecture, there were certain components or certain capabilities, functional capabilities, technical capabilities, and also the automation capabilities, okay. So like also Praveen mentioned, right, nowadays you want a unified platform, okay. So you want a unified platform where the single platform to accommodate all your business processes, okay. So again, your business processes are connected with very like configurable workflows, so all core workflows. And again, the functional capability which was provided, improved resource planning and allocation, because your RAG is very important, okay. Like scarcity of manpower when you have that frontline workers, okay. So that impacts your business performance. So where, okay, the RAG is very important. So you need to plan and allocate accordingly. Then the timely calculation of payables, future ready compliance adherence, okay. So you need a single place where you can configure the entire compliances for all the diverse business units, right? And also the improved communication between stakeholders. This is very important because what happened, many organizations, their priority and their focus area is all their own employees, right? So full-time employees. So somewhere you keep ignoring your frontline or contract employees. So this create very demotivation among the contract workforce, okay. So this leads to attrition, higher attrition. So for that you need a continuous communication channel along with your contract workforce. And now since in this technology era, most of the contract workforce, they have the mobile phones, okay. So you just establish that communication channel by using some kind of telemetry. So they are always connected, okay. So they can easily share their concerns. Okay, and also you are part of, it is a shared commitment between you as a principal employer and your contract workforce, okay, for complete controlling their performance management. Though you are not directly liable, since vendor, it's they are part of vendor deployed workforce, but again that is going to impact your business operations, okay. So indirectly or directly you are responsible to manage the performance, okay. And also you need that kind of augmented visibility at each step of the processes, because you need that kind of 360 view, okay. So again, improved operation efficiency. I spoke about the operation efficiency. Technical capability is very important. Secured cloud native system, because again you are going to store the personal information, right? So the data in transit or data in rest, it need to be very secured. It need to be encrypted, okay. And because you are going to deploy this product on a cloud kind of setup, So security is very important. And also the cloud native means because the single platform is going to support different legal entities, and within the different legal entities it's going to support different business unit, different functions. So your architecture need to be multi-tenancy, okay, multi-tenancy, so there is no overlapping between the data, okay, and you don't violate the compliance thing. Again, it need to be very scalable, because if you see the size of our company, okay, so which is a very huge, which is very, so scalability is very important. Maybe during peak hour of the hiring, you need to scale up, or again you need to scale down, and it need to have a self-healing kind of feature, okay. If some modules are not working, it should not impact the entire product. So the self-healing is very important. And most important is your platform need to be fully configurable, right? So nowadays it need to be, you need to able to do the configuration on real time basis. So you need to define the business rules validation, you need to configure the workflows. So instead of having that IT involvement, business should be self-sufficient to manage the entire platform. So if you are providing them low code, no kind of ecosystem, so everything is a templatization, right? You just drag drop, or you just select the template and you do the entire configuration. So you don't need much IT help. So business can be a self-sufficient, and they can configure the template based on their business processes, okay. And again it need to be modular in nature. So modular is very important, modular supported by the API, the REST API community, because again you need to exchange data with your legacy platform or within your internal ERP platform, for example SAP. So where you need to exchange a lot of data, okay. So each module should be supported by a RESTful API. Again, upskilling is very important. Like we have a separate learning management platform. So, but again the upskilling of the frontline workforce is very important, because if you are hiring a store executives, okay, again they directly deal with your customer. So instead of putting everything on the vendor, okay, so you need to own the entire performance management of your frontline workers who are deployed at your different stores, okay. So there what we do, we continuously engage them in a upskilling kind of feature, where there is a video AI assistant, okay, so where they speak, and based on the voice to text, okay, we do certain assessment, etc., and we do certain scorings. And again multiple user interface, like I said, you need a multiple user interfaces where the application should be accessible on any kind of devices, and if you see WhatsApp, if you see JioMart also, you can put order on your WhatsApp and you can see products. So similar, okay, if the entire service management, incident management, or the contract engagement, okay, so we are integrating with the WhatsApp communication channel. And again the event stream capture for better analysis. This is very important, because every time you need to create that meaningful insights, okay. Whenever if you are capturing all the actions and all the event, then you can do better analysis and you can take better decision, okay. So having that meaningful insights and will really work for you to take better decision for those contract workforce. And AI capability, hiring and onboarding. So where hiring and onboarding, you need a lot of documentation. So with the help of BetterPlace, we implemented the machine learning or a deep learning algorithm, where we go and verify all kind of document. And also there is something like eKYC, right? eKYC, you do a PAN validation or you do a other kind of validation. So for hiring, there are components like resume parsing. We do bulk hiring. So instead of creating the candidate profiles, etc., you just run the resume parsing kind of AI automation. So the entire information is fetched from the resume, and automatically it creates the candidate profile. So that will save a lot of your time into this hiring for your hiring people. right? And again, there is the community. Already I explained you regarding stronger retention and better customer services if you establish multiple communication channel, and again improved shift scheduling, right? Shift scheduling, something nowadays we are enforcing people to accept whatever shift the supervisors are creating, but it need to be a dynamic routing kind of environment depending on the bandwidth, okay, depending on the supply and demand, or depending on the customer calls or on the work schedule at certain time. It need to be very kind of dynamic allocation, okay, depending on your workload. So the shift roster and the shift scheduling, kind of we have automated these processes. So this all about cloud native platform architecture, because in mind of the people, cloud native means only technology capabilities, but cloud native should have the functional plus technology plus the kind of the new age AI kind of automation. So you will get that holistic approach to better manage your contract workforce and also to have that greater good visibility on your vendor performance, right? So these are some of the KPIs which will help you for the decision making, right? Or so for company like us, that the dashboard and scorecard. So depending on the dashboard and scorecard, you can take actions on the compliance breaches or the employee payment or the hiring time or attendance averages, etc. And also it will give you visibility on all the work orders, okay? Because work order, again there are different types of contract types, okay? You have multiple contract types, okay? Full-time, permanent, task-based, gig workforce, okay? So the hourly basis contractor, so those kind of different work order, you need that kind of configuration, and you need that kind of contract, all contract type supported features within that platform. And again the vendor employee irregularities and manpower planning and budget tracking approvals, and also the like I said, upskilling is very important, because this will lead to less attrition and better productivity, right? Then for vendor, what is important? Only verified employee onboarding, because again whatever employee your HR IR team or EIC team is going to verify, the vendor need to only onboard those employee, right? So he need to create the entry permit only for those employees. Then tracking of employee activity, okay? So this is a different concept for different legal entities, because attendance at manufacturing, you really don't kind of record or track their attendance. There everything is your entry permit, okay? You are not directly liable to track their attendance, because those are the third party resources, right? So there it is more like an entry permit management, okay? You just track their movement, but at some area where you capture their presence at your premises or at your offices, so that kind of, because it is very important for payroll processing, right? For payroll processing, and then tracking invoices and mapping work order, which vendor does, and also the compliance tracking, which is very important, and it is a statutory requirement, right? The compliance, pre and post compliances. Then for contract employee, the visibility on the shift roster and their daily attendance, the leave management, where they are going to put a request for leaves or regularization, etc., where the vendor supervisor is going to manage the entire leave management process, and also the payroll, etc., okay, their wages, etc., is very important. Then there is something like, for some category of vendors, so where they need to do a declaration of IT, or they need to do certain projections, okay, or on a IT income tax projections, etc. Then the learning and upskilling option is also very important for them, so they should have that continuous augmentation of the skill. So these are the few slides which I wanted to explain you, part of the how to manage the entire contract workforce management life cycle. So we are working very closely with the BetterPlace team, okay, to deploy the platform across our companies, and it is a single deployment, but it supports multi-tenancy. But so far the experience has been really good, and hopefully, like Praveen mentioned, it is going to be a long-term partnership, and it is going to be a win-win situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashish, for sharing your invaluable insights and wisdom with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been eagerly waiting for has arrived. Let's unveil the much anticipated announcement of the evening. Let's watch the screen.
The clock is ticking, and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce.
Today, it's an emotional moment personally for me. We are just launched the new brand that we call Go Better, right? And the logo with that. So this is the hard work of my team, but more than that, it's a support that we get from all of you. We have been talking to organizations, and every time we hear that we want to go smarter, we want to become better, we want to grow faster, we want to go, and said, why not call this entire platform, put everything together, and go better. So thank you so much. It's a very exciting moment for all of us, and thank you for your support for making it happen for us. Thank you so much.
That was an absolutely exhilarating experience. Today, witnessing the inception of Go Better fills us with immense excitement. It stands as your all-inclusive solution for streamlining frontline workforce management. This HRMS is not only dynamic and future-ready, but also brings a refreshing and agile approach to transforming your workplace. Feel free to connect with any one of us for the networking session to learn more about transformative potential of Go Better. Taking this evening ahead, as we dwell into the heart of our discussion today, we are about to commence our first panel discussion, a vital exploration of contractual workforce management, navigating regulatory compliance, and ensuring equitable opportunity and protection. Guiding this insightful dialogue is our distinguished moderator, Mohana MD, the Chief People and Cultural Officer at BetterPlace. Mohana brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in the realm of human resources, making her the perfect navigator for this discussion. Now let us welcome our esteemed panelists, individuals whose expertise and perspectives will add significant depth to our exploration of this critical subject. Dr. Bino Paul, Professor of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Sameer Gaikwad, Head of HR at Bisleri. Sanjeev Sharma, who's the country lead sales and partnership at Microsoft. Pavan Lalwani, Director, L&D at Cipla. Please join me in welcoming our moderator and panelists with a huge round of applause.
Okay, I hope you can all hear us. Thank you. I'm very humbled to be sharing stage with such an illustrious panel. And thank you for really coming today. And as you can see, it's very diverse. And that's going to be our intention to sort of deep dive into the contract worker space from various parts of the same lens, right? You have academia, you have industry, you have Microsoft bringing something completely different to us from a technology perspective as well. But really, I think we want to spend some time, deep dive into the state of contract worker, right, in terms of what shifts are happening at a macro level, and also really to understand ultimately how tech is going to make a very big difference as well. So I want to start with you, Samir. I have a lot of cue cards because we have very interesting questions for each one of you. Praveen just talked about how something dramatic is happening, how organizations are facing something called great variabilization. That is, movement from having people in your own organization for a certain period, permanent staff, moving into task-based, moving into contractual worker space at large, right? So your gig is emerging and a whole lot of new concepts are coming in this space. Now, how does all of this, why is this happening, Samir? And really, how is that going to change the relationship between an employer as well as your contractual worker at large?
Yeah, I think very interesting question. And thanks. I think the earlier speakers were very good. I think they've already given us some talking points. So I mean, one of the key, I think this has been an arc. And when I say an arc, I essentially mean, Mohana, we've seen this change happening over the years. Yeah, so we've seen that change happening initially from the on-roll towards the off-roll, and now that you have this term called as gig workers, platform workers, call them what you want. So talking from my personal experience, some of the key factors that I think have attributed to this change happen over time, and I'll speak from my personal experience, the bottles that are placed in front of you. So I represent Bisleri. Yeah, and as a company, if you look at the Bisleri bottle, other than the product, everything else is a cost. Yeah, so the lower the cost, the higher the profitability. And in that sense, then it becomes a duty for HR to ensure that we lower the cost. And I think that is one of the key imperatives and the reason why we see this shift happening very soon. In fact, you will very soon see the second part of it also. The second most factor that I see is flexibility and scalability. Very soon you will be seeing the big billion days on Flipkart, yeah, where the CEO will come to the HR head and tell him that I want another 300 people added to the fleet in a month's time. And yeah, and to the HR head, that's like a big problem, right? So how do you get people onboarded? How do you ensure that in that time where business needs HR the most, how do you service them? And I think that has also been the reason why they reach out to vendors who kind of get them that specialized task force who can get things done and rolling. And coming also from our past experience at Unichem Laboratories, where we were trying to launch an OTC product. And we were able to replicate. So we had the same problem. We wanted to be the first to go to market with that product. So we bought over the entire team from Novartis over to us, and we were within flat 30 days we had a 300 workforce across the country, ensuring that we reach out to that fraternity of 3,000 doctors across the country. And I think that's the kind of differentiation that HR can make with the help of contract management. So I think that second reason is another reason apart from the cost aspect. Apart from that, I think the specialization. And when you talk of specialization of skill, I will not talk about IT much because yes, a large part of it is there. but more so in terms of the gig economy in India. So if you look at the gig economy in India today, majority players like Zomato, Swiggy are the ones who are dominating this game. And just like us, although we are not a startup, just like us, they operate on wafer thin margins, and they are equally answerable to the boards and investors. So if you need to operate on those wafer thin margins, how do you ensure that you have those specialized skill sets people coming over? Yeah, so you have people swapping from Zomato to Swiggy. The same guy wears a Swiggy t-shirt in the morning, and in the evening you would have him servicing Zomato. So I think that specialized skill set that the gig workers kind of bring on is one of the reasons also I see this. Last, I think one more example rather than just talking about, I think globalization overall, and way back in my time at Pfizer, we kind of brought in a new HRMS, and Pfizer fancies that every 3 years we have a new HRMS system coming on board. And the point this time that we were trying to make is to ensure that all the workforce management actions, right from the employee life cycle of onboarding, confirmations, was to be done by the managers. Yeah, and for that you needed a robust team who would actually guide these managers. So there was a call center initially set up in India, and because of cost constraints we really were not able to do justice. So we started looking outside of India to service the EMEA region, and the EMEA region for Pfizer actually is India, Pakistan, Singapore, Malaysia and China. So one of the countries that we went to and located our global business shared services center was in Philippines. So I think this is also a new phenomena, I think looking out of the box, looking at solutions. So in a nutshell, I think these are some of the reasons that I see this arc of on-roll to off-roll happening. Now with regards to the impact, I think very clearly the impact is twofold. One is on the contract employee part, and the second is on the company part. On the contractual employee part, I think one of the key reasons that I feel is reduced job security. I think, and companies can talk about bringing people from off-roll to on-roll and redoing this entire piece. But yes, I think amongst the field force, and there are companies that I know of that have a differential treatment for contractual employees versus on-roll employees under the basque of do's and don'ts of contract labor. So I think that's one. Reduced job security is one of the things. The second reason that I see which is going to keenly impact this part is limited employee benefits, and I'm sure all of us are aware that there is a new wage code and social security code that's happening, which is going to ensure that certain benefits are going to get extended to these gig workers who currently are working for 14 hours at a stretch. So no defined terms and conditions of service, people are just going across the board, getting exploited. So I think it's a circle. There are going to be some ethical considerations also in that.
Yeah. So I have a question specifically in terms of impact, Samir. Primarily, if you are seeing more and more of this happening, that your on-roll is going to go off-roll, your risks and dependency is going to increase with your vendors. So what happens to compliance? How do organizations ensure that they know what's happening in terms of vendors managing compliances very well? And will, again, technology help you? Is it going to make it more transparent? Is there a way to do it?
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to borrow some points from Mr. Jadav there from Reliance. I think his slide did a lot of good, and I'm going to ensure I take your slide deck back with me. So, I mean, very clearly speaking, we see this happening, and there has always been this piece where for bigger companies, and I hear people from HPCL and BPCL are also here today, so big shout out to all of them. I think bigger companies like yourselves can afford to have a separate IR, ER, call it whatever you want. I mean, a team which is dedicated to contract labor management, but possibly for smaller FMCG players like ourselves, it becomes very difficult. Yeah, one of the major challenges that we face today, and it comes back to the cost factor, I think, where the promoters every month want to understand from you what is the cost differential, what is the kind of OT cost that you are saying. Because today, if you look at me, I operate kind of 4,500 trucks across the country to ensure last mile delivery and reach. And this means that I need to have 4,500 drivers coming every day to work. So it starts from the entire cycle of ensuring they clock in at 7:30, they do their hours on time, yeah, and all their statutory benefits are met in time. So the issue being that we have so many segregated vendors. So at this point we operate with roughly close to 45 odd vendors, and that's a small number. I know all of you are doing many more, but for us to consolidate that data and bring it onto one platform, one single platform, where not just HR but also the management has a visibility in terms of who are those vendors who are doing excellent, who are those vendors who are not doing so great, and then that perennial problem of ghost employees always exists. So how do you ensure that there is one unified platform where you will bring all of these vendors onto that platform, force them to feed that data into the system so that it enables those analytics for you? So I think that's I see that as a challenge, but I think definitely technology is that question itself becomes defunct today with government tightening the noose on employers and ensuring that we comply with every single piece out there. So I think that question is defunct today, that whether technology is an option. I think technology is the only option. That's the way I think I would put it. I hope that.
No, absolutely.
Long
and
answer.
no, that's great. And earlier today, there was a lady in our previous roundtable who talked about companies having multiple apps versus having one single platform, and something for us to reflect upon and strategize your digital transformation journey as well within your own organization. So let's move to something a little different, which is also very meaningful. Pawan, I just want to get you into the conversation. Essentially, we know that it's massive, right? The frontline workspace, blue-collar workspace has got millions and millions of workers who are probably less skilled and underskilled, right? And skilling has become a very important aspect of actually sustaining any sort of growth for our country, and we're staring at a skill engine that we haven't tapped into optimally. But while a lot of data, even the data that BetterPlace has sort of generated, we see trends where there is interest, there's access to learning because of mobile access as well. How do we sort of indulge in this further? How can organizations sort of ensure that contract labor also is participating in this learning journey as well?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. So if I talk about, there are two ways. One is I see a lot of people in terms of career progression, if you see, they start leaving organization. So there are two folds to it. One is people have the knowledge, they join an organization, but then they don't see a value and they don't see a progression, and they leave your organization. Now what happened? Like, let's say a person joined and within 2-3 months he or she left, a contractual employee. Now you spent a lot of time on them, you spent a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of money, and they just left you. Now on the other side, you hired somebody and you are not upskilling them. Now again, that is also very scary, because you're not training them, you're not upskilling them. And again, the past two speakers just talked about how skilling and upskilling is very important, be it a FTE, a full-time employee, or your contractual employee. Yeah, and if I talk about how we should be ensuring that they are learning in and out. So I have a very, very apt example of my own organization. So I work with Cipla. So what we just did in the last year itself. So for our full-time employees, we have a lot of things. But what about our contractual employees? We did not have anything much to do. Now let's say a person who is in manufacturing, he or she joins in. So what we did was we created an entire learning journey for them. It's a 1 month of learning journey. So they don't have to go through the entire 8 hours of learning journey. They have the mobile app. All they have to do is log in, their IDs and credentials are created. Just 1 hour of learning journey they have to do. So in that, what we did was we created a skill set which was on the functional aspect, which was on their technical aspect, and which was on some of their soft skills aspect. So we understand a person where he or she is lacking in. Now what happened was, with that we understood the data. Okay, a functional aspect, these are few challenges with this person, that person get trained accordingly. If that person has some soft skills aspect, we train them. But a person has technical, which is a very, very big thing, because that's their job to do. So in that case, what we do is we refer them to the HR. And that's how we were close looping and ensuring that everybody is trained and skilled, be it a full-time employee or be it a contractual employee. So this is how we are doing that, and it is very important on the technology part.
So just out of curiosity, was that vernacular in context? Because a lot of the blue-collar workforce is not exactly English-enabled completely in a consistent way. They may know it, but they may not be, the aptitude may not be.
It was multilingual.
Multilingual.
Yes.
Okay, so that's another aspect that keeps coming up, how if we build software, we build technology, it's important to keep the vernacular as a context and to keep things simple. Very, very simple, so there's no fear in actually utilizing software from the worker perspective as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Great. So, Bino sir, Dr. Bino, we'd like to shift gear again, bring in the macroeconomic perspective, right, which I think will be very valuable. Is your mic working? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So, sir, what I think will be very valuable for us to understand, what are the policy level interventions that are really required for this space?
Okay. So that's a very engaging and constructive question. If you see the recent data, the workforce, the age group of 15 and above is 550 million. Out of that, very few people are into any kind of human resource management frame. That's less than 50 million. So the scope for policy, especially when it comes to women. In the whole economy, there are 280 million women who are in the age group of 15 years and above, but doing work without any pay to maintain households. Imagine, so that has a huge implication for GDP and the product space and growth. Imagine 280, remove 80, let's say the active catchment of 200 million. If 200 million are engaged for a few hours a day, at least an hour for a day with 100 rupees, it's going to generate over, let's say 2/3 of active days a year, somewhere close to 6 lakh crores. Imagine they get something equivalent to minimum wage or decent income. Minimum wage plus living wage, close to living wage. Imagine 500 to 600. It's going to aggregate around somewhere between 25 lakh crore to 30 lakh crore, which is 1/10 of GDP. GDP comes around 270 lakh crore. So imagine, that's the scope. But, so I'll put it again, 200 million women in the age group of 15 years and above, 200 days engagement is going to fetch 30 lakh crore, which is 1/10 of the economy. But there's no policy, or policy in the sense not only government, I would say other stakeholders, industry. I'll tell you why is it not happening. Unlike transition economies like Brazil or other growing big economies like China, or industrialized economies like G20 powers in G20 like US, there's a problem here. Our wage economy is merely 1/4, whereas wage economy in US is 1/9. So our monetary policy, what promulgated by RBI, doesn't capture 3/4. Of course, interest may, but remaining is not captured. So these are the issues. And imagine, is there a lifelong learning system for women that can liberate them for at least 3 hours a day? 3 hours a day, the economy is going to jump. 3 hours a day. So that's going to be a perennial scope and crisis in geographies like India. This kind of crisis doesn't exist even in sub-Saharan Africa. although they are very poor. But this is the potential of India, because we talk about 10% double-digit growth of GDP. One option is to rely solely on technology and material, but it brings challenges for environment unless circular economy is in existence. Remaking, recapturing, material recovery. Unless it is in place, it's going to contribute to global warming, but then there is human potential. But homes have to be liberated. So that's one macroeconomy I would like to emphasize, wherein the HR community can do wonders.
No, that's wonderful. And I think just in the last year, we've seen that the rate of participation of women in blue-collar workforce has actually doubled. But I wonder if we are conscious about it and if we are making sustained efforts to actually keep up that number and increase that number. So there's nothing but an opportunity there, right? Great. So I think staying with the future, I'd like to bring in Sanjeev. Sanjeev, Microsoft is betting big on generative AI. We're hearing all of these fancy terms. I know that a lot of companies can get good out of this if they understand this correctly, right? So what does generative AI, Gen AI, mean for organizations in the blue-collar workforce? How is this going to help companies?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, BetterPlace, for having me in such an august company and the opportunity to listen to Mr. Jadav and Praveen first. I've listened to Praveen before very passionately. One founder who doesn't think about company as much, but as the country and the humanity at the whole. Coming back to this, and actually, Dr. Binu, you just blew my mind with that. I'm completely blank with my thoughts right now. The potential of having the better gender into the economy. So really powerful there. Coming back to my question, generative AI, chat GPT, a lot of us must have been experimenting with it in today's time. And I'll go back to one statement that was made by Sam Altman in New Delhi, who's the founder of OpenAI. And this was a question asked to him by one of the CEOs in the New Delhi forum. That is generative AI going to cost more jobs or create more opportunities? And I think the answer to your question actually came from him. And he said, look, every time there was a technology innovation, we first thought that it is going to be disrupting in a negative way. For example, and I was sitting with a geo friend on the table there, and he was asking me where I stay. I said New Bombay, and I was telling him that I was a beneficiary of Geo Fiber first. And before that happened, and we were talking about the phone conversation, that we have used the mobile phone service at 16 rupees, 32 rupees per minute, and Geo made it free. What happened in this process was democratization of technology. And then I go back to the slide that Praveen presented in his first slide, when he spoke about over 440 million users of entertainment leveraging their mobile. And he also spoke about the power of UPI, where 5 rupees, 20 rupees payments are made using technology by millions of Indians and also people worldwide. So what is happening with these two things coming together? Technology is enabling everybody to do more. Now that also happens to be Microsoft's mission statement, that we want to empower every person and every organization on planet to do more. Trust me, not because I'm sitting here, but I think BetterPlace is one company which is trying to do that. Because a lot of companies focus on enterprise, but here there is a company which is talking about a solution which impacts people that a lot of people don't think about in their planning. So coming back to the question, how is it that Gen AI or technology is going to impact the blue collar workers? I think there is so many ways, and Mr. Jadav spoke about the number of vendors that you have to interact with, the number of contract workers you have to interact with. Looking at the attrition slide Praveen presented in the first slide, and that 15% I think was just the opening number. Then it must be more, right? How do you manage all of these people who today have a mobile phone, right? Who have access to technology. You can communicate, you can create a future for them, first of all, in terms of reducing the attrition by learning delivered using technology through the mobile phones. Instead of entertainment, I think some of them want to grow and would love to learn and do different jobs which are more paying, right? So that's one part. Second part is the security aspect of it. And I don't want to shock you on a Friday evening, but I was watching one documentary and there was an offender of a different kind of offense who was actually on a school bus. Now, how do you solve for this? This is a challenge waiting to happen, right? The verification process using technology, today India has taken a lot of steps, and I'm a big believer in India today. We are actually at these three circles of great potential, great talent, and great technology, all of it coming together to do more. So when we bring these pieces together with our national crime data, with our background verification systems, I think we can solve for a lot of these challenges. So net, I didn't answer your question directly about generative AI, but what essentially generative AI is doing, it's a technology to do more. It's a technology to ask questions which will pick up the data at the background on your own models and answer it to the best. Jio is doing so much more on generating large language models for India. I know there are a lot of other companies doing this. We are in collaboration with them as well. I'm just naming one because he was the keynote speaker, but there are a lot more who are doing more for India. But I think, you spoke about pharmaceutical side, you spoke about manufacturing side. There could be a lot of unique examples, lot of unique data sets, basis which we can create a better solution for the problems today. Sorry, a long answer there.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And I think ultimately leads to better decision making and more informed decision making. That's great. So I think we're closing in on the last question, and I want to open it up for all. I'd love to get your perspectives first, sir, if that's okay. There's a lot of attrition in the blue-collar workspace, right? Organizations, like Pawan was mentioning, they invest, they feel the pain that people leave very fast, probably faster than the white-collar worker, right? But what can companies do to create benefits that matter, to engage people?
Thank you, Mohanath. This is a very crucial question because I guess this has been an issue, haunting issue for most of transitional economies. Testified by World Competitiveness Report, which looks into types, for example, labor surplus, cheap labor, productivity oriented and innovation oriented. And India is still classified in labor surplus, cheap labor, while I think China has moved to productivity, whereas many countries have moved over to innovation. But I guess if we transit to productivity or innovation, it's crucial to have relation-embedded networks. But at this moment, most of the tripartite contracts, contract workforce especially, they don't have any embedding with organization. They are commodified and they are paid minimum wage and slightly above. I'm sure it fulfills the axiom or maxim of profit maximization. But is it going to be sustainable? I can give you a few cases. One is toxic industries like leather. Leather is attractive. Hush puppies I wear at this moment. And it looks very beautiful. But if you go to the tanning, there is dirt in it. And people work for 10 years. That's a sure passport to next 20 years ill health. Part of their life is gone. But it's whose responsibility to invest on cleaner technology? Firms earn shoestring margin, so tanners won't invest, they don't have money. But who would take responsibility? So it's crucial to engage with creative ESGs. That's a way of building relationships. So I think employee engagement for different creative employee engagements, ESGs, value chain approaches, can really do the trick. If you see the value chain, one is highly market driven, Another is something like relational value chain. Of course, in between, during BPO's times, we witnessed growth of captive value chains. But it was not a smart business. Many had to be closed down. But relational value chain is very crucial when economy moves from cheap labor, cheap wage, labor abundance to productivity and then to innovation. And especially India will move towards innovation because many crises loom large. Classic case is soil is dying. If we continue at this level, especially the nitrogen efficiency levels, we will be run out of food. So that means we have to resort to R&D, especially nanotechnology and so on. But we need a different types of firm. Are we really geared up for that? So in that case, employment contract had to be more creative. So that's my humble submission.
Wow, it's just absolutely fascinating, right? And it's complex, but this is really essential as well. Samir would love to get your views as well.
Yeah, although I agree with him, I think to a large extent, I think it has to be an initiative which is guided by both the government and the industry. So they have to kind of join hands because, the organized setup, unorganized setup that we have in India is still in shams. It's in tatters literally. The way employers actually view contract labor, and I'm saying so for the blue collared ones, is they're expendable. That's the perspective. Let's be honest about it. There's no point in mincing my words. I think, and therefore that attrition bit, I think somehow getting them that identity, in sense of an Aadhaar, be it whatever. Some sort of an effort that is aided by both government and industry has to be taken in cognizance. Else I don't see it happening, that the industry themselves volunteer to kind of work towards this.
Thank you. Sanjeev, any benefits that you think that we should be thinking of to contain attrition? Of course, technology plays a role, but anything specific that comes to your mind?
I think the answer was in Praveen's first slide. So, and please don't get me wrong, again on a Friday evening. If you want to buy a Mercedes or a BMW, do you know the interest rate you have to pay? It's 4x that interest rate that a person who's a blue collar worker pays to take even a 2,000 rupees loan. And I think when Praveen spoke about it in the beginning about the rewards, and I respectfully disagree with you on that, we can't wait for government to solve for everything. We love our government, but every government has its own limitations. I think we'll have to take the first steps ourselves. And I really love the idea of rewarding, creating opportunity to provide some benefits, which in this case could be in form of loans at a right interest rate. That simple thing can actually solve for such a large impact, and we don't need too much of it. So I think I firmly believe technology can be enabler, and Praveen spoke about the data points, that we have data on people leveraging Aadhaar and UPI and the payments that organizations have. So I think basis that there could be systems which can enable this, it can solve for a bigger good.
And because you touched upon loans, earlier in the morning we had a very interesting insight which talked about, are we creating a vicious cycle of loans, right? And creating that habit that remains with the blue collar workforce, which already has that. Your mate's always taking loans from you. It's never like a cash. But Praveen had another point earlier in the day which said, more than most don't have access to loans. So we need to weigh both sides of the problem and then, help this community, right? So let's have the last word from you.
So I guess everything is being conveyed and it's already shared, but I just have a sense to add is a lot of organizations have to take this accountability where they have to understand what are the challenges that we are facing in terms of why the attrition is so high, and maybe some basic reward and recognition. It can be the well-being of contractual employee, how you are doing the well-being for your employees. Similar way, do some basic things for them. I guess those small things will make a big impact at times. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's as simple, and simple is profound.
Yep.
So on that note, I think we can conclude. Thank you so much for all the valuable thoughts. I really think that there's so much that needs to be done, right? And it's always overwhelming yet humbling that there is so much opportunity for our country and for the world that we can really create a true impact towards. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you to all our panelists and moderator. I think there was some of the fascinating details that they have shared, and to reflect upon all of that, I think we need a short break. There are some refreshments that we have arranged outside in the dining area, so please help yourselves. After the break, we have some distinguished keynote speaker.
The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. GoBetter helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues. Whether you're in retail, manufacturing, or any sector in between, broken systems are costing you big time. Smash through the chaos with Go Better, the ultimate game changer in frontline workforce management. Not to mention, it's also your one-stop platform. Agile, modern, and future-ready. Go Better is built to bring out the best in you. Tired of hitting walls? We knock them down. Get to enhance your efficiency and cost savings by up to 50%. Security? Check. Customizable? Absolutely. Now make data-driven decisions with real-time analytics. Our modules, from hiring to skilling, we've got it all under one platform. Modules like Hire ATS, Onboard and Verify, Attendance, Payroll, Skilling and Vendor Management give your workforce a competitive edge. Scaling globally, so are we. Trusted by 1,500 large enterprises operating in 500 cities across Asia Pacific and the GCC regions. Go Better helps manage millions of workers. So are you ready to revolutionize your workforce? Are you ready to go better? Reach out to us now. Both your frontline workforce and your bottom line will thank you. Go Better. Revolutionize your workforce. The clock is ticking and the stress mounting. And there you are, lost in a maze of frontline workforce management issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would request all of you to settle down. We'll start in 5 minutes. Everyone to settle down. We are about to start.
It's time to face the world. Step outside the shade. To be loved. Wherever you are, I'll find you smile again. A lot of days.
It's an absolute honor to introduce our next keynote speaker, a distinguished personality in the realm of human resources and strategic guidance on people management. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Richard Lobo, a strategic HR advisor and the former executive vice president and HR head of Infosys. Mr. Lobo is a global management professional with over 25 years of diverse experience. His remarkable career journey and insights have had a significant impact on the global landscape of human resources. With a wealth of experience and a keen eye for innovation, Mr. Lobo continues to inspire and influence the way we approach strategic HR in this rapidly evolving world. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend a warm welcome to our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Richard Lobo.
evening, folks. First of all, thank you for coming back. Because there was a lot of discussion on attrition and I was wondering whether that is going to happen. So thank you. Really appreciate that. It's not easy to listen. It's I think, much easier to speak. So I have 10 minutes, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the future and with the rider that predicting the future is anyway dangerous. But we'll take a shot at it because on the technology front, one thing is very certain, that no matter who does the prediction, it is guaranteed that we are going to be wrong. So with that, let's get into this, and I'm going to talk about some of the changes which possibly can happen, and two parts to it, the technology part and how will it impact the people. So if you look at what is clearly happening over the last few years, whereas for a long time the change in technology was limited to the enterprise level, it really hadn't hit each of us as individuals as much as it's hit in the past few years. And all of us, whether you are consumers, whether we are working in offices, anything, we have been impacted by this, what we can term as an exponential pace of change in terms of technology. And there is so much happening in this space that is very difficult to keep up with what is happening. But if you look at technology in the sense of it impacts all three areas: the work which is happening, the workers who are doing the work, and the workplace. So now if you take the work example, companies are looking at how we can get more competitive, how we can make more margins, how we can be better in terms of if we use technology. And in many sense, people are talking about replacing the human with technology, replacing the people used to handle things with chatbots and so on and so forth. So there is this huge focus on changing the work perspective as such. The second is the workers itself, and workers are seeing for the first time technology is making a big difference to their lives, in the sense that we are soon reaching a stage where what you can term as n equal to 1 experience. So each person in the workplace or each worker will get an experience which is very tailored to them as individuals, because companies are getting richer on data, there is more data being collected, the processing power is getting better. So we have reached a stage where systems can give the worker a very, very personalized experience, and where this matters is that if you get a better experience, you tend to be more productive, and the best way to look at this as customers, right? And if you have experienced any of the technology change which is happening as a consumer, and you can just put in mind, if you pass through a retail store, you get a signal on your phone that you could buy this product. So it has reached that level. If you reached your home space, certain callers know that you are home and that they can call you. Now the same trend, we have not imagined that much change happening to the workspace, but that is also going to happen as companies start investing in that space also. The last place is the workplace, and here what has happened is something which is very interesting, that the workplace has now started moving, and most of us have been used to going to a place of work, but we have not thought about the workplace moving with us, and by that I am referring to the handheld device which many people carry. So your workplace is kind of moving with you, and the concept of you going to a place to do work is slowly shifting. It is a big shift for any of us who have been in any kind of a management role to see that, okay, workplace is no longer a place where people come to, but the workplace moves with people. So that requires again technology and the whole network aspect, that you could have an office which is spread very widely across the country. We saw this during pandemic in the sense that workers did get spread across a very wide spectrum, but that is slowly going to be a new concept, that you no longer will go to a place, but the office will move along with you. So now these are these three broad impacts which technology is happening, but fundamentally the exponential part, it is no longer a linear part, which is causing what we can term as an organizational knowledge gap. So the simple way to imagine this is that there is a certain level of technology which is there. The organization or us as people part of the organization know it at the next level. So there is already a gap between what is available and what you deploy. And the third part is what you deploy and what can actually make business sense, because none of us are allowed to do things which don't make business sense. So there are two gaps here, the gap between what is available and what you know, and what you know to what you can deploy and make sense. So this is the one which is the biggest challenge which is all of us are going to face. Now whether we are dealing with frontline workers or any other kind of staff. For example, even let's take the concept of what do you define as part of your organization. Is it the person who's on your payroll, the person who comes as a contingent worker, the person who might come for very short term. Now for a long time we used to treat these groups differently, but I think that time of treating people differently will change, because one is people are getting used to this being what you call part of many activities together. Secondly, organizations are going to have the technology to deal with this particular challenge. Now I'm not going to refer to some of the challenges which still are in terms of the regulations, the challenges in terms of how do we handle things like data privacy, how do we handle things like intellectual property and all that, but I think those can get largely addressed. But this is going to happen, that the definition of workforce, the work and the workplace is going to be disrupted because of the exponential growth in technology. Now can we all see where the future is going to be? No. But I think this brings back an example of what is happening in any other areas, right? So long back in the 1960s, there was a contest which the airline industry did. I don't remember which airline sponsored it, but the whole challenge was you have to write down where do you see the airline industry 30 years ahead. And you put it in an envelope, and they said that we'll open this up 30 years later. And you can imagine what all came out. People said that on the weekend we could go to the moon and come back. Somebody said we could, we'll have some spaceships roaming around. So there were very, very futuristic predictions. But the winning entry, of course, was the person who said the aeroplanes will get bigger, they will go a little faster, and more people will fly. So somewhere I think when we have this huge thoughts on technology, we also have to keep that the regular business models will continue. And it's not that sense that I don't want to come and sound like everything is going to be disrupted and everybody is going to, whoever has a mobile phone is going to make money on it. But the point is that the change connected with technology is going to make a big difference to everybody's life. So scaling the whole talent management program becomes that much more important, and the only way you can do that is by working on platforms. There's no other way to keep pace with the change or the evolution of technology, because there are so many aspects. Now whether you take hiring and onboarding and doing all those checks, and I'm not going to try and explain these things to you because you people know this better than me anyway. Performance and how do you handle incentives, upskilling and training, which so many speakers before me spoke about, the employee services which all of us need to deploy, the engagement and communication part. Now all this is going to be impacted by the technology which is going to come in, and for that the only way organizations can keep up is by looking at platforms, and the platforms will continue evolving and bring in changes which will make an impact, which will substantially change the game in terms of, there are two aspects. One is in terms of what are the returns you are going to get for the investment, and what is the impact it is going to do on your people who are going to work for you. Now on one hand, the investment, if you look at scaling, it does require investment at this point in time, but what it makes a difference in terms of, it creates a substantial uptake in terms of the return on investment over a period of time. So the whole message on this is that you have to think now for the future, because the mistake or probably the error of judgment which many of us make is that there is always a thought that, okay, if you invest in these kind of things, and I speak from having worked in HR for many years, is that if you invest in this, who is going to get the returns? Is it this company, or are we putting this investment for somebody else in the future? So this is the same challenge which in the early days of the IT industry, and sorry for talking too much about that industry, but simply spend too many times there. But there is always this question that we do not have enough engineers or we do not have enough people to serve the needs of the future. And there were very few companies who decided that we will invest in the future in terms of building up the workforce. So that required working with engineering colleges to improve the curriculum, training people who came out of colleges, looking at people who studied allied fields and getting them ready to serve the industry. Because of the foresight of some of the pioneers, today India probably has one of the most richest source of manpower that any other country in the world does not have or cannot even compete in this space. So similarly, in terms of the richness of the manpower we have today, we have overtaken any country in the world in terms of having the demographic dividend which the people who are ready to work of the right age profile. Now if we invest in few things in terms of skilling them, getting them future ready and giving them that experience which they need to deliver, you develop the whole ecosystem. So the idea is to look at an ecosystem view. Don't necessarily look at whether we invest in this, is it going to give us dividends today or is it going to get dividends for the future? No, that's not the point, because if we do that then we take a very short-sighted view. So on both on the people front as well as on the technology front, you need to take a view that what you're doing is going to pay dividends over a longer period of time. Some of it will come to you, to your company, some of it will go to the other companies. But if you take that approach, we probably are better placed than any other country in the world to reap benefits out of this. But it comes back to what are the areas which will make a difference. One is, what are your objectives? What do you want to achieve out of investing in technology on your people? Secondly, how do you measure returns? What are your measures over a period of time and how do you do that? So keep a close watch on that. Thirdly, that experience which I talked about earlier, that all of us got used to as customers and it's getting better. I think all of us can feel it, and no matter what your age profile or what your purchasing ideas are, all of us have got used to a better experience. So if we can move that same experience to the concept of employee experience through the usage of technology platforms, I think we are in the right place for the future. So I'll again summarize and close by looking at the exponential change in terms of technology which is going to impact the work. In terms of companies will want to get better in terms of productivity, and all companies are at some kind of stress or the other in terms of that. The second, it will impact the workers because they start wanting that n=1 experience which they are used to as customers. And finally, it will change in terms of how we view the workplace, because we've largely viewed as a workplace as a place we go to. Rather, we'll now view as workplace which moves around and the companies using technology work around it. And then comes to how we view the larger workforce, in the sense that we have people who are part of your office, people who support it in the larger ecosystem, and then you have this whole networked available workforce which you can use for your benefits, and then use platforms to give them that experience in all the areas which I talked about. So that is my small note which I wanted to address to you, in the sense that do not look at the immediate, because just like I gave you the example of the airline industry, we cannot really foresee the future, but except foresee the direction in which we are going. So the investment in technology is going to give us that dividends in terms of a better experience, and a better experience will give us better returns from customers, and therefore enhance productivity, and finally a better quality of life for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lobo. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you. Now we move on to our next panel discussion, a topic at the forefront of innovation and transformation: transformative SaaS solutions, changing the landscape of frontline workforce management. Leading us on this insightful journey will be our esteemed moderator, Ved Antani, the Chief Product and Technology Officer at BetterPlace. And of course, we are our distinguished panelists, Panduranga Nayak, India Head of Startup Solution Architects, AWS India. Gaurav Gupta, Chief Growth Officer, Ek Step Foundation. Avinash Kumar, Co-founder and CRO of Marco IT Labs. Can we get a bigger round of applause for all our moderators and panelists?
So I have three big problems. One is that how do you follow such a great speaker's live? How do you follow that? So that's problem number one. Second is that when you have people like these on the stage who know so much, what do you even ask them? You don't know what to ask. I'll try my best. And third, the biggest problem is that immediately after this, we have a happy hour. So I have been given very short time to cover all of this, but really glad to have my good friends on the panel. And when I say that these are the best minds in India right now who are working with probably the most difficult set of problems, that will be something that I'll try to cover with them in whatever short time that I have. Yeah. So, we want to start with you, Avinash, right? And we actually spoke about this topic. You have been working with large scale, medium scale sort of industries for a very long time in this domain. What do you see in your observations are the biggest transformation happening as we speak now? What are the key themes of those transformations that audience would love to hear?
So I've been in the technology industry for last 14 odd years, and fortunately I also had an opportunity to work with frontline workforce people as well, because I've been, my earlier startup was pretty much focused towards customized printing marketplace, which was acquired by Printo, and my day-to-day activity is to deal with the frontline workforce, the vendors across India, or the people who do printing, or the people who manufacture papers, and HRMS is definitely not accessible to them. So, but when we say HRMS, it's not something new for the people who are sitting here in this office space, because that's something we see on day-to-day basis. That's where we do our check-ins, checkouts, download our pay slips, or we have all our gamifications there. We have Zozo Day that's integrated to our HRMS. So we do, that's not something new for the people like us, because that's what we have been accessing day to day, but it's definitely not for the frontline workers, and but it is very, very important aspect for those people. And I think as Sanjeev told, accessing loan to an employee for a frontline workers is pretty hard. I know people who earn more than 12-15 lakhs, but they cannot get a personal loan of themselves. But what solves the problem is having a proper solution to them. And how are their wages being tracked? How are their employment being tracked? That's going to give a clear insight to the companies, and that's where HRMS is going to play a vital role for the frontline workspace. And I think BetterPlace is one such pivotal company who is actually working with several customers, but the market is still wide open. The printing marketplace where I worked is a 15 billion marketplace where more than 30 to 40 million workforce alone working on the frontline marketplace. But if you ask me, all this are exposed to the HRMS workplace? Definitely not.
They are not, of course.
But there are few companies who are large giants like Printo, or there are few companies who definitely have a HRMS for their system, which is not even 1% of the entire infrastructure. I think the transformation, or it's not just HRMS, there are multiple applications or SaaS products that needs to go down and accessible to these people, so that like everyone said, like Pankaj or Jadav, so LMS or their payrolls or their check-in, checkouts, everything to be accessible to all these employees. I think HRMS, the transformation right now, what is happening, it is definitely changing a lot of things. And I believe this down the line we will have all these frontline workers will have access to more.
Thank you. I think that's a great insight. I think a lot of the speakers earlier talked about it, and I think you are echoing some of these thoughts as well.
Yes.
Moving on to Gaurav, you are actually solving the Bharat scale, right? With your work on Next Step, which is powering the thought behind Honest, ONDC, which we all believe will be the UPI for skilling in e-commerce and the commerce. If you have to crystal gaze, what would be, let's say, the biggest transformation, at least for India, that you are seeing in next 5 years?
Sure. Thanks, Ved. Earlier you talked about 3 challenges. I think the third is the biggest one. We are sitting between, what everyone expects, so we'd like to be brief. But I think as an answer to your question, the roots of this lie a little bit in the past. So let me speak for a minute about that, because that will give more context around what lies in the future. See, Ekstep is a foundation. It's a not-for-profit, which was started around 8 years back by Nandan Nilekani, along with his wife Rohini, and Shankar Marwada, who gave Aadhaar its name. So it's an organization which started 8 years back, but it has a 14-year-old history. You know how? Because it's the same team which worked on Aadhaar, and we all make use of it in different ways. It's the same team which conceived and conceptualized UPI. And we, of course, all saw the numbers in terms of what it does. Now, what's the key element in the context of Aadhaar or UPI was, these are known as digital public infrastructure. The idea behind this, of course, it comes from Nandan and his thinking, but the key is that how do you do something which is minimal, but does that job really well, which the ecosystem can leverage to power many use cases. For example, Aadhaar, I mean, of course, it just the basic minimal job and collects only 5 fields of information about the individual. But today, by virtue of using it, the ecosystem can do eKYC at the fraction of cost in a fraction of time. Of course, those of you who have used DigiYatra would have seen some of the other use cases of it. So many things that it powers, but that digital public infra, or DPI in short, does something basic, minimal, but empowers the ecosystem to do a lot more on the top of it. Of course, we saw the numbers of UPI and in terms of what it has done. So the combination of Aadhaar and UPI, by the way, helped India leapfrog big time in the financial space. In fact, now almost 80% Indians have bank accounts by virtue of direct benefit transfer, etc. That happen. Now that would have taken 40 years to happen, but India did that in 6. That's the power of a DPI, and more importantly, the ecosystem which comes around it. And now, as we have started calling it, so a DPI is 1, but when the ecosystem comes around it, that is not a 1, that 1 plus 1 actually becomes 11. एक और एक 11 हो जाते हैं. And that's how many use cases show up in that context. So the idea of Honest, or the idea of ONDC is to, like you also said, Ved, is to UPI-fy digital commerce, education and skilling, so that it basically allows many platforms, many ecosystem players to innovate on top of it, because that's what the ecosystem is really good at, and power many different use cases and scenarios. In fact, there are others like GSTN, Diksha, Cowin, etc., which have also come out of the same stable with the same idea. How a minimal DPI leveraged by the ecosystem can power many use cases, can allow innovation to happen. So I think, and when I look at it, the journey has just started accelerating. In fact, DPIs became a key part of India's digital diplomacy to the globe during G20, right? That's, so this is called India's tech aid across the world. So I think we are really sitting on a very opportune moment in the history, and earlier speakers spoke about the demographic dividend that India has and the power that it has in terms of unleashing what it can. So I think the future will see more and more of it, and that's the power to be unleashed in the coming future.
That's a fantastic vision, and today is a big day for us because today we launched Go Better platform on Honest Network, and we partner with Honest on their Win Room, and you wouldn't believe that such a deep integration did not take us more than half a day. So it speaks volumes about the thoughtfulness of the platform, how much thought has gone behind this entire philosophy of making a network so powerful, right? But again, thanks Gaurav for insights on that. Coming to Pandurang, I think our favorite topic. Yes. See, I think we actually talked about this outside that we see profound impact of generative AI on every part of how humans work, right? From small things to big things, right? You are at the forefront of this technology. If you can share, what kind of big changes you see, especially on the generative AI, when we talk about very large workforces, like frontline workers. What do you think, again, crystal gaze, what will change when we implement AI in the right fashion?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me here. And this thing, I mean, big fan of Step always, and some of the work you guys do and all that. So very happy to be here. And yeah, I mean, I think when we met long back also, we had met for some other topic completely, and we ended up discussing generative AI. And I was telling Ved that in this year, I lead the startup solution architecture team for AWS, right? So we work with pretty much every startup out there. We go out, we talk to a lot of the startups, look at a lot of the ideas. There has hardly been a conversation. I don't think there has been any conversation where generative AI doesn't come up in that conversation. So obviously there is the initial part of it was a lot of hype. Everybody was like, everything that they were doing was now Gen AI powered or Gen AI enabled and all that. But after a few months now, we are seeing the real use cases that are actually emerging and helping. And to the question that you asked in the context of that, I mean, I can keep talking for hours on the different use cases that we have seen that have amazed us. But some of the use cases that come to mind, we actually have this enterprise that's working with us. They are a popular air conditioning and washing machine kind of manufacturer. They have a huge service workforce that they send to people's homes to kind of service things. And when they reach home, sometimes, usually they know what to do, right? I mean, usually they look at a problem and they know what to do. But sometimes they need to refer to a technical manual, or sometimes they need guidance. So they use their phone as an assistant now, and they tell what the problem is or take a picture of something, and then a generative AI application at the back refers user manuals and comes back and tells them that these are probably the potential areas that they should look at, right? It's really improving their productivity. The other kind of thing, I think Mona talked about this earlier, about how regional languages and like many people are not confident in talking in English or being able to kind of draft these things. That's another area where we have seen very innovative ways in which just the intent of what somebody needs to do has to be captured, and then generative AI can come in to assist and write a very good sort of a summary or do any of that, right? In very good English. I was just telling Ved, like even our society manager for a society of 600 flats, every time there would be like 10 typos and 30 typos in all the society notices that used to come. In the last 6 months, everything is like fantastic English and things, because they know what they had to write. They just were not like writing it well, and now there is tools to help them kind of gain that confidence and do that really well, right? A third one that I look at is compliance. In terms of some places there is it's because of regulation. In some places it is because a company has defined a certain process. One of the things that comes to mind is lot of these trained people who have to do a first level diet consultation or a patient consultation of sorts, and they're just given a regular workflow, right? Or it could be a contact center that's doing outbound kind of thing, and they're given a thing saying you have to ask the customer this, and then you have to ask this, and then after the call, this post-call analytics to say, did they follow the thing? If not, can that, looking at what they missed, can we do a on-spot coaching for them on how they could have better done that call? And can that entire sort of learning for them be generated on the fly? And these are some of the use cases that we are seeing. And I think in every one of these shows how mainly it's productivity. And then there is these aspects of multilingual things and bringing all those experiences. In some ways it is bridging that gap of saying that these are the English speaking internet audience and this is a different kind of thing. I think that gap will keep diminishing now.
Do you think AI will take away jobs? No, I'm just kidding. But you don't have to answer that. Anyway.
I think we'll have better things to do.
Yeah, of course.
It'll elevate jobs. Actually, to answer that, right? I always say there was a time when Microsoft Word and other things came out, right? And everybody thought, oh, all these typists are going to lose their job, all the typewriters are going to go out of business. Yeah. But everybody's now doing better with that, yes. Right? I mean, it just gets better.
Fantastic example. I love it. Coming from Microsoft, right? My next question is about, we all have looked at HRMS, HR software, HR people, people problem for a very long time. All of you are experts in the group. 10 years back, I believe the first transformation happened, where people realized doing everything manually is not going to scale. So the first wave of software came in, which we know is like Workday, Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, for example, right? I believe that there is a transformation 2.0 happening, where the needs of the enterprises have changed, the speed at which the enterprises operate, and the level of control or customizations or the speed that they want to move actually is compelling this transformation 2.0, where the incumbents are getting replaced by new age modern SaaS software, right? Now, that is my observation, and I think you see that every day from AWS or Xstep or Myco. But if you were to quantify, and this is for all of you to sort of pitch in, are the key levers for a SaaS company to really use this transformation phase? What you foresee any B2B SaaS should do, and what has been your observation? And I think I'll start with Panduram because we finished with you, and then go to Gaurav onwards.
Okay, so I think I would say like in the new age of thing. First of all, I think somebody mentioned this earlier. The workplaces of the past and the workplaces post-COVID, right? There's a complete transformation there itself. There is a culmination of various different technologies that's probably going to happen at some time down the line. But we've seen these bursts of really good technology that can solve some very interesting problems. Like blockchain is one technology that can solve some really interesting problems. AR, VR has been like, making its waves at times. Generative AI obviously has come in and, there is a bunch of things. I feel that all of these in some ways they're going to converge into creating solutions. It's just about all of these things coming together, and imagine them being little pieces of the puzzle just coming together. And at some point, just like we had the mobile revolution, the internet revolution, and everything else, things are just going to go. There's hardware is going to catch up, devices are going to catch up. There's a whole bunch of things that's going to happen that will make these things far more thing, right? We already know of computer vision based attendance systems and all that, where now nobody needs to punch anything. They just walk through a door, walk out of a door. We know who was where at what time. We're automating entire buildings, we are doing fuel efficiency, we are doing all kinds of things with AI already today. Just imagine all of that kind of, just getting together and, working on that thing. So I don't know if I've, hit the nail on your question, but I feel that there is a lot of different pieces of technology that are just emerging now, and we feel that that next wave of experiences, which hopefully will, get everybody getting is just around the corner.
Gaurav, what do you think?
No, that's a fantastic articulation, Pandurang. In fact, so I see three kind of possibilities coming through in this context. See, of course, in the past we have seen that there was an era of automation followed by things becoming more and more efficient, and now as we are looking at transformation. So one of the things that will come through in this context will be adjacencies. When I say adjacencies, what I mean is when Praveen showed the slide, he's highlighted that how less than 1% of workers get access to benefits. Now, of course, making benefits available to everyone may not be an organization's core competence, but can those avenues now become available by virtue of collaboration, which can happen via a network where other organizations who can do that come into the party, and that's how, without an organization getting into something which is not their core competence, get into an adjacency by virtue of which they can offer these kind of benefits and all. So that's one. Second can be amplification. And when I say amplification, again, Praveen's slide showed about that there are less than 3% workers who get skilled on their jobs, right? And of course, you know this better than me, that skilling, reskilling, upskilling, all of these are really, really important. So how such avenues can open up for people easily, so that, let's say, if I'm a plumber and I can learn some ancillary skills which may help me earn more in that context. So for example, a plumber being able to do some electrical jobs inside the bathroom or inside the kitchen, hence adding some ancillary skills, and hence getting upskilled to be able to earn better, or me being able to do my job better. And how can I do that? Again, not totally enabled just by the organization which is focused on it, but through many who can offer that capability as an aspect. So second is amplification, right? Third is that imagine that if all of these things can be credentialized, right? So today, for example, very few workers will have their resumes like us, right? And when they switch jobs, it becomes really hard for them to prove that they have this skill or they have this training or certification, and for them to get a better job or to get a better premium on in terms of the capabilities and the skills. So how credentialing and that becoming digitally verifiable can open up many more avenues or opportunities for workers to be able to find such work-related opportunities or financial support kind of opportunities, like access to credit, because these are credentials which can be easily verified digitally by prospective employers or by banks, etc., etc. So I think that's all waiting to happen and unfold, and the time is right.
No, that's like fantastic ideas both from you. I think some of the work we are already doing, for example, skilling is one, and part of ONDC being in that direction. But I think I love the idea of how do you give credibility to workers. That is very similar to what, let's say, an Aadhaar would do, for example, right? Then we don't have to go through, let's say, hundreds of KYCs. You have one single KYC, one single identity. That is acceptable not only in India, but let's say globally as well. But that's a great idea. Thank you for that. Avinash, you are the last on this topic.
For me, it is about, there was a era where we moved from a traditional software to a SaaS-based system. And right now we are in an era where we are moving from a traditional SaaS-based system to a platform. So say when we moved from traditional software to SaaS, everybody was like, hey, I have a platform to use immediately, but that was solving their problem. But if you ask me now, every company use 20 and 30 plus of SaaS applications, and what is your end goal? And I do not want to be logging into all these 30 applications. Right now, all I'm looking for is a platform. Say, if I am logging into one platform, if all my platform is interconnected. So more than a product, companies are right now evolving into a platform. SaaS products building marketplaces. Hey, I could build in integrations of so much. So today, the new age SaaS product companies, they are building as platforms. So even before the launch of the product, we could see marketplaces coming in. Hey, we have integration to so much of product places. So what is going to make the user's life easier? And how are you going to couple all this product and keep all under one umbrella? And how do you make your app or your SaaS product interact with multiple different applications? And that's where the life of next SaaS platform is. So we were in the SaaS era, and right now we are in the platform era. Every SaaS product wants to migrate themselves into a platform so that they could definitely ensure that just not the product, they could be one centralized product and that can be used across everywhere.
I think this is the area that becomes very important when you distinguish the old software, and pardon my using the word old because they are like previous era of software versus SaaS, right? Is how easy it is to think of entire software stack as a platform. The biggest pain point, and I think Ashish ji also spoke about this in his talk, was transparency and visibility across your business, right? Is not a negotiable thing anymore. And that's where the platform play becomes very, very powerful. I think that's what probably your point was all about. But again, fantastic. Thank you very much. Next year, probably we'll have you back and we'll talk about Gen AI 2.0 at this point of time. And by the time, Honest would have seen greater success, right? But thank you for being in the panel. And over to you back. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for an exceptional and insightful discussion. Gaurav, I will request you to stay on the stage, and Praveen, I would request you to come on the stage and make the special announcement. For Praveen's request, we'll play the video first and they'll share a few words after.
Integrated with Honest, all frontline workers using BetterPlace app will be able to view the scholarships their kids are eligible for and apply to them. This will benefit millions of kids across India and create a fair playing field for them. How does this work? Both BetterPlace and scholarship providers are integrated onto the Honest network. BetterPlace admins will be able to search for available scholarships, understand the criteria, and publish relevant scholarship opportunities to the users on the app. Once the scholarships are selected by admins, they will be sent to users on the BetterPlace app. Let's look at how Ravinder, a frontline worker, will be able to find, apply and receive a scholarship in 2 simple steps. Step 1. Applying for the scholarship. As soon as the user lands on the home screen, they will see the application in the form of a post. Once they click on the post, they will be able to find an arrow button through which they can access the application form. Upon starting the application, the user should fill in the following details. 1. Consent for scholarship. 2. Number of children for whom the scholarship is required. 3. Name, age, and educational background of each child. Once the application is submitted, it will be reviewed by our team. Step 2. Receiving the scholarship. After the application is verified and is found eligible, the approval message will be conveyed to the user by a congratulatory post. Then the users need to fill another form to submit their bank details, such as 1. Account holder name, 2. Account number, 3. IFSC code. Once they submit this, the amount will be transferred in the stipulated time period. Thanks to Honest's vast network of scholarship and learning providers, BetterPlace moves closer to their goal for improving the lives of all frontline workers in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, Samir was talking about Pfizer replacing HR solution every 3 years, and I was thinking about the Bangalore roads, and every year they had to redo it, right? And one fine day someone thought, why don't we make it cemented and no one has to change it? And now BetterPlace and Honest coming together is like cementing that relationship, so Pfizer does not have to change. Once they deploy Go Better, we will be there forever. So that's the power of 1 plus 1 is 11, what you are saying, Gaurav. The idea here is that there is so much happening in this space, and when we partner with Honest, we can leverage everything that is happening in the economy and bring it to you and your users, right? That's what we are looking at with this partnership. I think this is going to be a game changer. This is not something which will change tomorrow, but over time this will be a game changer. Scholarship is one initiative. We started this around 4 months back. With our own money, we started giving a scholarship to kids of your employees. So some of the organizations we started working, but we believe with this partnership we can go bigger scale, right? We could do with our own money, might be for few hundred people, because the scholarship amount is anything between 15,000 to 50,000 rupees. But with this partnership, we can go much bigger scale. If we can add to their education, the life becomes better. They also go better. Thank you so much. Gaurav, you would like to add something?
Oh, that was great, Praveen. So I'll just probably unpack Honest for you a little bit because you may all be wondering what is Honest. So first and foremost, Honest stands for the Open Network for Education and Skilling Transactions. I mean, that's the full form. It's not that H went missing. It's intended to be that. And if you're familiar, how many of you are familiar with ONDC? Okay, quite a few are familiar with ONDC. So ONDC, of course, is supposed to UPI-fy the digital commerce area, and likewise, Honest is meant to UPI-fy the education and skilling space. Now, what does that mean? See, today, and let me first highlight why am I here, because and how is it relevant to you? See, earlier during the day, and all of you know about it, that there are some 500 million odd frontline workers. And of course, they all have children. Pretty much between them, they represent more than 60% of India. And access to education and skilling opportunities is not easily available to the children of frontline workers. And at the same time, learning has become lifelong now, right? And some of the examples that we are talking about in terms of how a worker can amplify what they do through skilling, upskilling, reskilling, as well as through better access to credit and more opportunities are definitely aspects which are important. So Honest has 4 categorical areas in terms of where it has started. One of them is, of course, what you saw in terms of the scholarships being enabled for the children of frontline workers, which comes under the categorical area of financial support. So financial support is meant to unlock friction or unblock frictions that exist today in this space, because that's an aspect that needs to be UPI-fied. Second category is around work-related opportunities, and hence in that context, what we are talking about is what credentialing and easy availability of people in terms of being able to find jobs, apply to them, how those frictions can be removed through a network. That's the idea of work opportunities. Likewise, lifelong learning experiences, that's the third bit. Just to give you an example, a few days back, Namma Yatri, which is the Ola or Uber equivalent for auto rides in Bangalore, they launched Purple Rides. Now, what is a Purple Rides? A passenger with disability can declare that they are disabled, which marks them as a purple passenger. And then the auto driver immediately gets to know that it's a disabled person. Now, for the auto driver to have soft skills using which they can assist a disabled person better is something that Namma Yatri on its own doesn't have capability of. But through the network of Honest, there are many organizations which operate in this space which have provided skilling related content so that that auto driver can do just-in-time skilling to be able to assist that passenger better. In fact, if you are in Bangalore, just try it out and you will see what happens there. It's an example of how just-in-time skilling can also happen when you plug into a network where that core capability is not developed by Namma Yatri of skilling the driver just-in-time, but through some of the other network participants who have joined on the other side. The fourth category of Honest is around expert connect. So all of us need mentors, volunteers, tutors, etc., in our lives. How can that become easily available and discoverable in the context of education, skilling, lifelong learning? That's the idea. That's the fourth category. Honest is not a platform, it is a network. Right? And what powers the network is a protocol, which is pretty much like UPI. So hence, the visual imagination that you can have around this, that on a typical platform, especially when you look at e-commerce, there are many sellers on the platform, right? And of course, there are consumers on the other side. A network has many platforms on it, bringing different capabilities and services powered by the protocol so that these platforms can become easily interoperable. Pretty much like what UPI did in the context of the financial domain, and hence the same thing being applied in the context of education and skilling. So that's the idea behind Honest. It's a network, not a platform. It will, however, have hundreds or thousands of platforms powering it, joining it to enable diverse use cases. So again, the same example of minimal digital public infrastructure being put out there so that the ecosystem can innovate on top of it to make lives simple, innovate, and solve for diverse use cases. So that again, ek aur ek can become 11. That's the idea behind Honest. And maybe in a few months from now, usme hazaron platform ki shakti hogi to power different use cases. So that's on Honest. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can proudly say, honestly, we can skill people. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Praveen and Gaurav, for this amazing partnership to help our frontline workforce learn better. As we near the end of this enlightening journey through the Next Step event, it is my privilege to introduce our final speaker of the day. Please join me in welcoming Saurabh Tandon, the co-founder and chief operating officer at BetterPlace. Saurabh has been at the forefront of innovation, driving impactful change in the way we perceive and manage our frontline workforce. Please join. I think we should have a round of applause for Saurabh.
I'll try to make this quick. I always end up getting this, and I always feel interesting being here because I'm standing between you guys and drinks and some good food that we've lined up. Look, we've been doing this for 8 years, as Praveen talked about. And obviously, we go through lots of ups and downs. It's fascinating to see a room like this where we see all the ecosystem providers, right? So it gives us a lot of comfort that we're not alone in this journey. When we look back, for us, I think nights like these are extremely gratifying, right? So obviously, go through the rigmarole of day-to-day doing stuff. So I would like to thank, firstly, on behalf of the BetterPlace team, that we were able to get such a fantastic audience in here. Really appreciate the, the engagement that we've had. the interesting mix of ideas that were presented here. Yeah, I really think the engagement that we had made this a truly memorable event. I think more than a full house, right? So that's a good testament to the whole event. I'll start by extending gratitude to our keynote speakers, Ashish sir and Lobo sir. I think those were very interesting, keynote speeches that we had. Amazing to see how large organizations like Reliance are seeing how you can leverage platforms, right, to manage, hundreds of thousands of workers, integrated end to end, right, from a platform play perspective, with eventually the goal that, hey, are we able to do more for our employees, and obviously how does it impact our P&L, right, in terms of cost savings, better insights into data, and obviously leading to better decisions, right. I think we would all agree we had two fantastic panelists here, right, some very interesting quality discussions, one focusing a lot from the perspective of how do you really manage frontline workers, the other one being more, hey, let's see the transformation of how technology has been changing over the past few decades, right? Lot of great ideas exchanged. I think personally for me, a few that just stuck in the head. Simple math, 200 million women, if they can just work a few hours a day, that can add 10% potentially to our GDP. And I think it's not just a theoretical concept. We've all been seeing the power of gig platforms over the last 7-8 years. It's fascinating to see a lot of the traditional industries which are represented here are also warming up to those ideas. We actually have a lot of our existing customers who've been exploring some of these models. So there is a ready pool of 200 million workers that potentially could benefit from that piece. I thought it was always very interesting. Technology changes very, very fast, right? It's funny, when we were doing an event about 2 years back, we were talking about crypto, Web3, bunch of stuff. Don't see a lot of discussions around that. But I think the key perspective was technology is an enabler, right? In itself, technology is not going to do much. It's up to us how we use technology, either when we transform how we run our operations. We talked a lot about how we can help improve the lives of the workers, right, who eventually run a lot of the operations day-to-day basis. So again, a very important key takeaway, BetterPlace platforms, Onset, which I know is not a platform, a network, as Gaurav explained very nicely to us. But eventually, all of these are enablers, and we highly encourage each one of you. All your situations are unique. That's why we have a Go Better-like platform, highly configurable. I don't do a lot of sales, but I think we definitely have spent about 8 years really trying to think specifically about this segment, right, the frontline ecosystem. We know it's underserved, and we're quite hopeful, right? In forums like these, we get a lot more inputs which allow us to keep generating next generation products, right? I thought it was very interesting, the technology panel that talked about, there are moments like COVID. Obviously, it was a pretty traumatic experience for a lot of us on many different fronts. But on the workforce management side, especially frontline, I think it was quite transformative, right? Things which might have taken a decade moved in a matter of months, right? Because we just had no other choice to do it. I think it was very interesting how some of the folks on that panel talked about, we don't have to do everything ourselves, right? So the ability of moving from just a software to an open platform, where you're able to bring, we see a lot of partners in the frontline ecosystem, right, who are really innovating for this particular segment. How people are reimagining not the ESIC insurance, which is a government mandate, but really an insurance that matters for the frontline worker. I'm not sure how many of you are aware there are insurance products like dengue insurance, because if the worker doesn't work for 2 weeks, he really is not able to earn for 2 weeks, right? So things like that, a lot of innovation which is happening. But then again, an ability of platforms to be able to bring all these ecosystems together, right? So that from your perspective, it was very interesting. In one of the earlier panels, people said, this is great, another platform. But when I count internally, I see I'm already running 4 or 5 different systems and applications, right? So I think that's the power of a platform where you're able to bring all of these things together. So I thought that was a very interesting idea. Obviously, I think there's huge emphasis on skills. I think we talked about how we are still, frontline workforce is still seen as a highly commoditized, if I can use that word, compared to other maybe a little bit more developed economies, right? Sure, it's commoditized, but there's a lot of ideas that came through, right, in terms of benefits, less than 1% of the workforce has access to formal credit, right? You'll be surprised it's not a very difficult problem to solve. We're actually doing it with some of our large customers. But that becomes an interesting retention tool, right? So even though it's a commoditized piece of workforce as it stands today, huge opportunities. I thought it was very interesting, and by the way, it's already happening. I'm sure a lot of your workers who might be working 8 or 9 hours are also doing gigs for 4 or 5 hours, right? Because they've realized in the absence of skills and an oversupply market, just putting more hours is the only way they're able to earn more, right? So I think the ability to cross skills is naturally happening. I think I was there with one of our customers yesterday where they said, we openly encourage our workers after their shift to pursue gig opportunities, right? So pretty interesting things which we are already seeing in the, in the industry that it's playing out. Last but not least, I think we saw the launch of 2 very interesting things. Personally for us, Go Better, very excited about that. I mean, we've seen in our journey over the last 8 years, multiple avatars of it, but I know the power that this platform can bring, and folks like Ashish ji definitely gave us good perspectives on how they're leveraging it. Should give a lot of you comfort that we've built a solution which should be solving most of your problem and use cases, right? So I think that was very transformative. A big shout out to the team here, specifically Mayank, Chandana, Ashita, folks from marketing, as well as Ved and the tech folks. I think few limited folks. A big round of applause for them, if I may. I think they've burned a lot of midnight oil over the last 4 to 5 months since we thought about getting this idea out. I think personally for us, very gratifying. While we always focus on enterprises solving their problems, end of the day, it's about workers, right? So I think an example of that was the partnership with Gaurav and his team launching Concept. End of the day, when we look at a worker, yes, it's a commodity, for lack of a better word. But just like any of us, they are humans, they have needs, medical needs, they have children. It's quite amazing when we interview them and we spend a lot of time talking to workers. We just realize the needs are very basic, right? They're not looking to own a BMW or a Mercedes and stuff like that. Very basic needs. Can I send my kids to a good quality education? Will they have, frankly, a better life than what I do today, right? And I think initiatives like this with Onset give us comfort that at least we're trying to move the needle in that direction, right? Last but not least, I think really appreciate each one of you taking time. We were observing from top how the traffic situation was, and we were pleasantly surprised that a lot of you made it before time. So we thought that gave us comfort that Google was showing it was largely green. So really appreciate we came in. I know we went a little bit over time. So with that, I would say in the spirit of Go Better, let's move towards better food and better drinks. And thank you so much again, right, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurav, for your inspiring vote of thanks and closing remarks. As we conclude the formal part of this event, we invite all of you to join us for a delightful networking session, dinner, and drinks. Also, please collect your goodie bags. And we also have put up a product booth outside the hall, so you can get in touch with our team to know more about Go Better. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.